Welcome to our Wednesday meditation service. When Jack and I discovered Edgar Cayce, this was walking down Broadway after we had hitchhiked to Chicago in 1968. We were so moved by the students that were speaking. We came back changed. We're walking down Broadway. Somebody hands us a book about Edgar Cayce. We both read it. We find the center, and they have a meditation on Wednesday. And then Saturday, they did dream interpretation. And it changed our life. And they were the oldest people you could possibly know when we walked up these stairs to this little, terrible little place that had books about Cayce and the elderly people. But as we came in, it was just 1968, the influx of all the young people getting into the work. And we never talked to anybody about it. They just started coming up out those stairs. When you're hungry and when you need to change the planet, you know, you're called and those young people come in. And there's elderly people that are so wise to help you. So meditation is so key to the spiritual path. So we're going to do about 10 minutes of meditation. Okay. And we're going to do Sata Nama. I've got a handout in the front that you can pick up as you're leaving. Each time you close a mudra, that's going each finger. By joining the thumb with the finger, your ego seals its effect in your consciousness. Sa is the beginning, infinity. Ta is life, sentence. Na is death, change, transformation. Ma is rebirth, regeneration, and resurrection. Sata and Ma is so primal that its impact on our psyche is like splitting an atom. The power of this mantra comes from the fact that it rearranges the subconscious mind at the most elementary level. It has the power to break habits and addictions because it accesses the level of the mind where habits are created. Okay, so get comfortable. I don't care if you lay down, sit on the floor, or whatever you want to do. Just get yourself so you can leave your body. Sata Nama. Sata Nama. Sata Nama. Sata Nama. Sata Nama. Sata Nama.
Good evening, everyone. On Thanksgiving, I shared this universal truth. Learn, practice, and embrace gratitude, and you will heal your mind and your life. No other religion or spiritual practice is necessary if you can find your way into living gratitude. Exude gratitude, and you will come to the enlightened consciousness of the Masters. I did not elaborate on this at that particular talk because it had a different topic. The topic was Thanksgiving, which I agree is very subtly close to gratitude, but we should understand that gratitude is a state of mind, and thanks, in a sense, is a state of mind in a response to some favor or benefit that has been bestowed on us. So just let me share a little bit of the difference in definition between thanksgiving and gratitude. Thanksgiving, the act is the act of giving thanks, a prayer expressing gratitude, a public acknowledgement or celebration of divine goodness. That's Webster's definition. And in Webster's definition of gratitude, very simply, the state of being grateful, thankfulness. In short, Thanksgiving is giving thanks for some favor, some advantage that was bestowed, some gift, and we are thankful for it. But gratitude, while it may seem somewhat aligned to Thanksgiving, is really a state of mind, and you can see this in this differentiation between, well, you take the hostages, some of those hostages that were released by Hamas early on. This is in Gaza. And then when they were interviewed, they had such exuberance of gratitude for their release. But again, it was for the benefit of being released from that horrible set of circumstances in which they were confined for that long period of time. But gratitude can be cultivated as a state of mind. And this is what we are looking at when I say that if you're capable of living gratitude, you will ultimately enter the enlightened state of consciousness. So the whole concept of living gratitude is cultivating gratitude. Gratitude is the state of mind one can cultivate, which, when achieved, establishes a transformation in a person's mind, which feels and knows and serves divine goodness, which is otherworldly, mystical, goodness for its own sake, goodness for its own benefit. Gratitude is a state of mind one can cultivate, which when achieved, establishes a transformation in a person's mind, which feels and knows and serves divine goodness, which is otherworldly, mystical, goodness for its own sake. You see, what ministers do in Unity and in many places where there are spiritual teachings that are like Unity's teachings, what they do is they point out different ideas that appeal to the intellect. And the intellect takes a hold of these ideas and works with them. But there's a problem in this approach, but it is, in fact, one of the only approaches. You have to go through the intellect, a person's intellect, in order to inspire that intellect to actually step out on faith. The problem Unity runs into, and some of these spiritual teachers run into, is the fact that in doing what we do, people think that enlightenment can be achieved from an intellectual perspective. In other words, one will intellectually figure out how to be enlightened. But you cannot enter that state of grace, peace, love, healing, and wisdom through the intellect. It is only attained through faith, stepping out away from what the intellect quite often would simply disavow, disregard as having any validity or any meaning. Just like giving this particular analogy of gratitude being something one can cultivate, and when it is achieved, the mind then knows and serves pure goodness, which if you bring that to the intellect that is trained, educated by our illusion-driven world, it is rejected. But you see, that is the big step. That's the hurdle. We speak to and we relate things on an intellectual level, but at some point what is being intimated is that one has to step out on faith, and then one enters a completely different dimension of experience. So there's a whole different state of consciousness or mind, a different state of life that one is stepping toward or into on faith. And we should know that it has a lot to do with the golden rule shared by the master of life and death down through the ages. I'll share that with you now so we can intellectually look into it and then possibly see our way to step into it on faith. This is from the Gospel of Matthew chapter 7, verses 11 and 12. If you then, who are worldly, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father, who is in heaven, give good things to those who ask him? So whatever you wish that men would do to you, do so to them, for this is the law and the prophets. Let me restate that the way it should be stated in modern language. So whatever you wish that people would do to you, do so to them, for this is the law and the prophets. The law of what? Think about this. Whatever you would want any others to do to you, do so to them. What is that indicating? What is that pointing toward? So if you step out on faith and you start to try to live that truth, what is it saying? It is saying what A Course in Miracles states directly. Listen to this. If you listen to this right now, and you take this with you, it will be of such advantage for you. All minds are in communication. All minds are in communication. So you take this golden rule concept and a lot of what is being related by the masters down through the ages, which requires an inspiration that would somehow or other have us act out on faith. But why? You see, in the human intellect, especially in the Western culture, we are conditioned to believe that we are separate from one another, that each of us has a separate mind, a separate body mind, a separate life, and that we don't necessarily gain anything from, in the act of faith, giving without any thought of return. See the difference between the world we were living in and the world that the masters want us to find. The world we were living in, raised in, educated in, sees no advantage in the whole concept of giving without any thought of return. What is that? In this world, everything outside in the illusion-driven consciousness is bargained for. So the mind itself is forever involved in bargaining, contemplating why I do this. I do this because I can gain that. I do this for you because I can gain this from you. I'm doing this because it's an advantage for me in the long run. Maybe not right now, but in the long run. So I am involved in the concept of giving from an illusionary perspective that we're all separate. Somehow or other, I might manipulate someone or others to do something I want them to do for me by doing some beneficial act or giving some beneficial service. But it is all so illusionary. Why am I saying that? It's illusionary. If the entire outer-directed, illusion-driven world thinks this way, and everything going on in the world is bargaining, everybody's trying to sell something to somebody else in that state of mind, is that ever going to lead to the consciousness of enlightenment? No, it can't. Because as long as you're perceiving yourself as separate and you're operating from an illusionary personality that is attempting to gain access and advantage by being cunning, smarter than, brighter than, quicker, to get what you need from the world, which eventually then, if you get enough of it, is going to make you happy and bring you peace of mind. Never happened, never can happen, because you're not strictly a separate body mind in a world of separate phenomena. You're not. You're a divine being going through a human experience. And at some point, you have to bring forth the divine consciousness in order to really enjoy the fruits of life, living in the majesty and the miracle of oneness, the acknowledgement of oneness. All minds are in communication. I do these things because I enjoy the love I generate even within myself by doing simply for the sake of gratitude, just for the sake of love. And what happens when I'm doing that is that everything around me feels it. And everything around me will begin to respond to that consciousness of gratitude, love, giving, only for the benefit of feeling the joy of giving. But that can only occur when we ultimately realize all minds are in communication. And we say, that doesn't seem right. It's, no, not from your perspective. Not if you're still operating in the worldly thinking of the intellect based upon a fraudulent science of separation. I mean, today, even science is, the quantum physics of today is in total denial of the illusion of separation. Quantum physics science today is declaring that we are all interconnected, everything. So we not only have to watch what we may think or do, but we have to watch what we feel, because it is being generated around us and brought back at us, to us. I'll tell you that we all have to come a fair distance to get to this place where we're willing to start to live a life on faith, which ultimately proves itself more beneficial in every possible way. But in the beginning, it just seems like, wow, I'm not doing what I usually do, I'm doing something different. All right? And so we all have to come quite a distance from the teaching of the world to the teaching of the masters, to the teachings of truth. And I had to come a long way from the life of being a juvenile delinquent on the streets of Union City, Jersey City, and the likes. I chuckle to myself when I think about how stupid all the people I hung around with were, including myself. You have no idea how ignorant the mind can actually be. Maybe some of you grew up with a family that had some understanding. Maybe you went to college and you pursued some positive things. In my life, it was no such situation. I grew up practically on my own. I lived with my father most of the time in my teenage years and learned all the wrong things, growing up on the street, living a life of petty crime and fear and concern. I have so many examples that most people in the church already have heard them, but I'll tell you one that I haven't used for a while. I guess when I was about 15 or 16, we had a group of teenagers who hung out in the pool room, and there was 3 of us, usually, 2 or 3, and we would pull break-in and entries. That is, we'd break into places at night when they were closed, usually factories, and we would try to either get cash if we could find our way into the office of that building, and get some cash, or we would take products that were being made in that factory. And the ignorance is colossal. When I write about it in my book, and I write about it in a very humorous fashion, but it is colossally ignorant. So there's like, at one point we broke into a sweater factory, and we made our way to the office. The only money we ever got out of an office in these break-ins was every now and then somebody would have their first $1 or $5 bill pinned to a bulletin board in their office. That was all the money we ever got. We didn't know how to break into a safe or anything like that, although we did attempt it. Some of the older hoodlums in the pool room who had been in jail, one of them particularly, showed us how to break into a safe. And that story is in my book, and it's so long, I'm not going to use up what little time we have left here. But when we broke into this is a faster story. When we broke into the sweater factory, we made off with these V-neck sweaters, and they were all black. They were beautiful sweaters. And they were being boxed in this factory, and we took a bunch of them. And we all left, and the next day, I was smart enough not to wear my sweater. And I had the sublime advantage of watching a police car pull up to the pool room and arrest my 3 friends wearing black V-neck sweaters. The ignorance is colossal. You know how many stories I've got like that? Because the life was always trying to awaken me to the fact that you're just as stupid as you can possibly be. Eventually I got it. I got it just like that. I one day thought, Jesus, these guys are really stupid. And then it occurred to me that I must be stupid too. So that's what at least a beginning revelation. It wasn't my complete way out. But we have to come a long way to open the mind to its core relationship to the universe. Your mind is part of this grand universe, which is intelligent beyond our finite comprehension. The Bible says things to us that seem so far-fetched we can hardly bear it when we're still operating in the illusion-driven thinking of the world. It says things like, God knows when a sparrow falls from a bough. God has the hairs on your head numbered. Things like that. Well, it is true. So here, now, I don't know where any of you are. I know where Joel is. Joel's been in the spiritual work so long. He's right here with his dog. And I think Sadie and Joel have figured it out. All right? And I don't know, there's some people sitting in the back. I can't see you, so I don't know who you are. But it's great to have the place as crowded as it is right now. Because people would say, how does this guy get up there all the time and share these truths with so few people really seemingly interested? Okay? This is my dharma. My dharma is this. Wherever you place me, I will share truth. Because I was so ultimately blessed and transformed by the truth I share that I have nothing else I can do. It fills me to be able to give it away. And so here we are, and we have this universe that is attempting to bring us into a higher reality, which the Course in Miracles calls the real world. And we have all these different lessons we receive from A Course in Miracles, you know, the Bible, Eckhart Tolle, all these guys, you know, Deepak Chopra, all these guys really had gained that insight, that there is another consciousness. And in that consciousness, there is another self. The self we start out with is a body-oriented separate self. The self we actually arrive in when we are enlightened is a self that recognizes that everything is divine. Everything is God. Whatever thoughts, feelings you're putting out are being returned to you in the life you are experiencing. Whatever you're thinking, how deep it goes, however, whatever you're feeling, whatever your insight is what your outsight is, because you are bringing out of everything around you what it is you believe to be true. If you see yourself as separate, quite often you see yourself as being a victim of sorts. Circumstances shouldn't be doing this again to me. Why is this still happening? Well, this is the way we feel. When we actually think, listen to this, this is so important. When we actually think that circumstances arise separate from my state of mind. Ask yourself, do you believe that? That circumstances arise separate and apart from my state of mind. So I react to them like they're causing something. If the circumstances seem to fit with my personal desires, I guess I'm okay. But when they're not, I'm distraught. I'm out of sorts. I'm angry. Do you see that? Now get this. Forget everything else I said. I want you to have this. This is the gift of gifts. Circumstances do not arise separate and apart from your consciousness. They arise with your consciousness. Together, simultaneously, as you are living, that's what is happening. So if you still think that circumstances arise separate and apart from you, you will go on trying to control the conditions and people and conditions and circumstances of the world, hoping that you can somehow manipulate them through either gaining enough money or gaining enough power, prestige, become a rock star maybe, and have an entourage so that they will finally, you'll have all of them doing what you want them to do to fulfill your personal desires so you can gain enough of the world that's going to make you happy. It can't ever happen that way. Because, listen to it, you want to hear logic? You'll never be happy without peace of mind. Did someone just arrive?
No, I'm in the back. I'm taking pictures of you because you're so magnificent and I like your story.
You're taking pictures of me?
Yes.
You got the wrong side. It's
I'm taking pictures of Norma because she's doing great work while you're busy.
What is she doing?
Gathering the prayers of
Well, you're upstaging me. Okay, it's all right. Go ahead. I know what you're doing. It's good. So that's where we come down to the truth. The universe is so vast and intelligent that it gives us permission to be awake in the process of living. Look at what we're doing here. We are awake in the process of living. We're not automatons. We're not robots. We're not forced to do the will of the universe. which is what is the will of the universe? What did he say? He just jumped into it. What did he say? The will of the universe is that you should love God with all your heart and love your neighbor as yourself. But it's not forcing us to do that. It's saying to you, wake up in the fact you will eventually be like that. If you start to wake up, if you're awake in the process of living, you're going to realize much of what you think and the actions you take are really counter to your happiness, counter to peace of mind. So all we can ask anybody to do, all religion only has to say, be awake in the process of living. And you will eventually get to the place where you realize how beautiful gratitude is. To cultivate gratitude, that you have this attitude of gratitude, regardless, that you don't need anything special or different or miraculous to occur to make you say thank you from your heart. But if you cultivate the idea of everything you look upon is God, and life is such a gift. Look, there's another fact right there. Life is a gift. We take it so for granted, when all we could do is just be awake in the process of living and discover, when I cultivate gratitude, when I really feel gratitude for living, life itself, I don't need anything specific or different to occur. I don't need anybody to give me something or offer me something. I just need to feel gratitude for life. And I will automatically start to receive gratitude from everything around me, including my plants at home, including creatures and animals, including circumstances. Can you believe that? So what was this master talking about when he said the kingdom of God is within you? It's available to you. It's not going to be there on some distant day unless you find it before you get to that place where you drop the body. If you drop the body and you're enlightened, you go on from there. But if you drop the body, that is, you die, and you're not enlightened yet, you wake up, I hate to say this, in New York City. It's not easy. It's a hard lesson. So, what happened to my partner? We're supposed to be meditating tonight. All right, let me share this with you. This will be conclusive. Suppose you didn't have anything else and you were marooned on an island somewhere all by yourself, and all you had was this from A Course in Miracles. You can read this in the Course in Miracles text, the old text, page 426, but in the new edition, which most of you have, it's on page 457. There is another vision and another voice in which your freedom lies. It's speaking about another vision and another voice beside your ego. So there is another vision and another voice beside your ego in which your freedom lies, awaiting your choice. And if you place your faith in them, you will perceive another self in you. And that self written here with a capital S, which is what A Course in Miracles does to relate the all-inclusive self of being. This other self sees miracles as natural. They are as simple and as natural to it as breathing to the body. They are the obvious response to calls for help, the only one it makes. Miracles seem unnatural to the ego because it does not understand how separate minds can influence each other, nor could they do so. But minds cannot be separate. This other self, with a capital S, is perfectly aware of this, and thus it recognizes that miracles do not affect another's mind, only its own. There is no other. You do not realize the whole extent to which the idea of separation has interfered with reason. Reason lies in the other self, with the capital S, you have cut off from your awareness, and nothing you have allowed to stay in your awareness is capable of reason. How can the segment of the mind, devoid of true spiritual reason, understand what reason actually is? How can it arise? How can that mind arise? Only by being awake in the process of living. All right, I have... Are we ready to meditate? Nicely done. Thank you. I didn't call out to you yet, but I was getting ready to. Okay. Begin by taking a couple of deep breaths. As you release your breath, release any particular cares or concerns you may be harboring. Most of those cares and concerns are mind-made, self-imposed, mind-made concerns. So it's okay to let them go for this tiny space. Be willing just to be sitting here, allowing this moment to be what it is, this peaceful moment, to just be what it is. Breathing is a gift. It is a pathway to peace. You can use this mantra, bring it gently to mind. Do not fight with aberrant thoughts that come in. Don't try to make your mind a blank. Just let the mind relax and give this gentle mantra to your awareness. Having no imagined separate self, with no imagined needs, only love is given, only love received. Having no imagined separate self, with no imagined needs, only love is given, only love received. Having no imagined separate self, with no imagined needs. Only love is given. Only love received. In this more refined state of consciousness, we will offer the names of those that have been submitted to our prayer list. As Norma calls the name, just continue to sustain the awareness of being one.
Wilma Gomez, Carl, Megan, Christina Megan, Marcia Elwood, Carol Selby, Pat Johnson, Cynthia Agnew, Diane Bedokis, Sandy Spahn, Phyllis Naranjo, Larry Morrison, David Naranjo, Leila Naranjo, Amy Howe, Zeke Thomas, Alice and Rodney Howe, Tony, Benig, Jeremiah, Bridget Winningham, mother and family, Diane Malik, Naomi, Thomas, Robert, Rob Walls, Rob Wales, the Preston family, Antonio Bertram, Tracy Morell, Brett Hearns, Hadley Moore, Dan Spahn, Lori Martell, Chris Giochi, Holden Spruill, Sue H., Petra, Miles, Violet, Iris, Thomas Haygood, Sylvia, Steve Sheets, Heather, Laura, Brittany and Fee, Della, the Ukrainian people, the Russian people. And you can call out a name at this time if you'd like to do so.
Sandra Perko, D. Matthew and family, S. Casey and family, S. Daniel and family,
We see this healing light surrounding the prayer box and all the people's names that have been submitted throughout the month. We see them healed physically, mentally, and spiritually.
Let us take a moment now to embrace the vision of the new heaven in earth as we recognize this inspired divine consciousness rising in the awareness of everyone sharing this Boulder community with us. And this inspired divine consciousness rising in everyone sharing the state of Colorado with us. And it moving to all of those sharing these United States of America with us. And it continuing to expand through every nation, every religion, every race, every culture of the world, coming to the light of our interconnectedness and the reality of the harmony developed in giving love. As we pray, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and God is love. To this we say, Amen. We will take an offering for unity now. As we take our offerings in our hands, Let's bless them with this offering prayer. Believe in this prayer. It will come to pass shortly. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. And so it is.
I am spirit, I am peace. I can feel the joy of release. Let my body go, let my thoughts gently flow. I am one with all. I am spirit, I am peace. I am spirit, I am peace.
Join me now, please. We dedicate this tithe to the will and the work of the Spirit of truth, the Spirit available to each of us, the Spirit that joins all of us. We dedicate this tithe to the victory of the Spirit of truth. Amen.
You're welcome to join us in the gift and bookstore, and we have tea, refreshments, and conversation. So come and join us there after the service.
To everyone, have a beautiful evening.
Thank you.